Hi guys, I hope everyone's doing good. In today's video, I want to chat to you guys about Gnus brands, so ticker symbol GNUS. So from my last video, the share price had dropped, and I believe this was partly due to the whole buy the rumor, sell the news situation. But since then, the share price has dropped below the 50 period moving average. So what does this mean for Gnus brands stock? So in today's video, I'm going to address this and where I see Gnus brands as a company going forward, and also where I see the stock price going forward. But before I get into today's video, check this out. This video is brought to you by Weibo. If you'd like to get 2 free stocks valued at $1,850, check the link in my description box below. Welcome back to Investor Prime TV. David here. If you're new, this channel is a one-stop shop for anything investment. So investment ideas, investment discussions, stock picks, when to get in the market, when to get out. So make sure you guys go ahead and subscribe, and of course hit that notification bell so you don't miss any further uploads. With that being said, let's get this bread. So if we have a look at the chart of Gnus brands, so ticker symbol GNUS, as you can see on the 31st of March, that the share price had broken below this 50 period moving average, and it broke this 50 period moving average on very good volume. So the volume of 72 million shares being traded, and this was above the average of 54 million shares being traded. And as well as good volume, the candlestick, the bearish candlestick, is very strong. So the bears closed very strong on that session. So the fact that the share price closed below the 50 period moving average on good volume shows that this could potentially be a true breakdown of the share price, and also could potentially be the start to a bearish trend, or at least a bearish move for a couple of sessions. And in my last video, I mentioned that if this was the case, i.e. if the share price broke the 50 period moving average in the downside, then the share price could head towards $1.50 support. And comparing the volume between the session of the 31st of March and the volume on the 1st of April, as you can see, the volume on the 1st of April effectively halved, which is quite unusual because if there's a good breakdown in share price, breakdown being that the share price has broken below a support, whether that's a horizontal support or a dynamic support such as a moving average, then what usually happens is the volume should stay the same going forward, or this volume should be good going forward. But the volume on the next session after a possible breakdown effectively halved. So this could potentially be a sign that this might turn out to be a false breakdown. But if we look closer to the session of the 30th of March and also the 1st of April, as we can see on the 31st of March, the share price fell all the way down to $1.82, but there was actually a strong bullish pullback on this session. And part of this strong bullish pullback was that the bears were testing this 50 period moving average. So this moving average was acting as a support. And another reason was that they were actually testing this support. So what makes this a support was that it was once a resistance as the share price came to $1.84 and then fell. However, the price broke this resistance on very good volume and very good bullish move on the 27th of January. So this resistance effectively was seen as a support, or was seen as a temporary support. But the share price fell back down and tested the support and broke the support. So basically broke down the gap down and tested the 50 period moving average. Part of the reason why this bearish volume was here was a lot of bears were trying to break this 50 period moving average. So they managed to do it momentarily, but this was a false breakdown as the bulls took the price way back above the 50 period moving average and above this resistance, because the fact that the share price broke this support, this was now seen as a resistance. So it's like the bears and the bulls are effectively fighting for dominance around this area. And the same is happening as the share price fell to test the 50 period moving average and also the support at $1.84. And also they've tested it again on the 1st of April, and there's some pullback. So if we have a look at the slightly bigger picture, so looking at the weekly chart, as we can see, the share price has been rising, but we can see last week was predominantly bearish, and the bears are bringing the price back down to this 50 period moving average on the weekly. And as we can see, this 50 period moving average is proven to be a very, very good dynamic support, as every time the share price reaches the 50 period moving average, it bounces back up and then comes down to test it, bounces, test, bounce. Basically every time the price touches the 50 period moving average, it bounces back up. And as we can see, the 50 period moving average looks on the weekly looks like it's going to coincide with this $1.84 support. And if we look at the $1.50 support, this coincided with the 50 period moving average. This shows that these are good support areas. Have a look at the RSI on the weekly chart. There's actually some positive divergence, being that the RSI made a new high on the 8th of February, and so did the share price. And the share price made a new high on the 22nd of March, so did the RSI. As you can see, the positive divergence. So what the positive divergence on the RSI means is that there's a lot more momentum being built up. So there's more bullish momentum being built up. It means that there's a lot more buyers stepping in and perhaps sellers either stepping out or the buyers are overwhelming the sellers, so there's more bullish momentum. So if we look at the even bigger picture, looking at the monthly chart, like I mentioned in my last video, that the bulls have been testing this 50 period moving average. So this 50 period moving average is actually very significant in terms of Genius Brand's share price. As we can see, the bulls have tested this 50 period moving average 5 times. The first 2 times it tested it, the share price fell, and the fact that the bulls have recovered and raising the share price towards or to test the 50 period moving average another 3 times. So as we can see, every time it's tested, the last 3 times, every time it's tested the 50 period moving average, it's done this on very good volume. And also each time it's testing this 50 period moving average, it's effectively an uptrend. So there's still higher highs and higher lows. So if things keep going the way they're going right now on Genius Brands in terms of price action, then I believe on a technical note that Genius Brands share price is going to break this 50 period moving average, and not only break the 50 period moving average, but it's going to take off. The share price is going to take off in a month or two's time, or maybe even 3 months time. But I believe if things keep going the way they're going, then long term this is going to break this 50 period moving average. On a fundamental note, if we have a look at Finviz, then there's a lot of institutional transactions, so positive institutional transactions going on in Genius Brands stock price, so meaning that there's a lot of institutions buying up Genius stock. And also looking at Finviz, the short interest for Genius Brands is increasing. This shows that there's a lot more short sellers getting in on Genius Brands, and this could potentially be a positive, because if a lot of short sellers getting on Genius Brands and the share price starts to rise, especially with institutional activity going on in Genius Brands, positive institutional activity going on in Genius Brands, then a lot of short sellers are going to get trapped and they're going to have to cover their positions, which basically means that there's going to be a lot of demand in the share price. So if you enjoy the content that I put out on Genius Brands, make sure you guys subscribe and of course hit that notification bell so you don't miss any further Genius Brands uploads that I do. And if you guys like to support my channel, you can sign up to my Patreon. The link is in the description box below. Thanks guys, I'll see you in the next video.